Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Dr. Jaspersoft June session. Hi to everyone from all around the world. This is our special session where we'll be discussing about a topic that our users request a lot, Jaspersoft Studio and Git. This is a special session. We'll be presented in two parts. We'll talk about that later in our next month session. And for today, it will be mostly about how to set up Git in your Jaspersoft Studio and work with your teams using Git by versioning your Jrxml reports. We are here. I'm based in Paris, and I'm your Dr. Jaspersoft host. And we have here with us today our presenter, Prasant, our Senior Customer Success Architect based in the Netherlands. Hi, Prasant.
Thanks, Bala. Hi.
Thank you for joining us and presenting this really cool session. Can you please move to the next slide?
Sure.
Here you go. So this is what we were talking about. This is the next Thursday the second Thursday of the next month, July 13th. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about the part 2 when we will include Jenkins in our Jaspersoft Studio and Git, so we can talk about the other parts when we'll deploy our reports automatically through Jenkins. Once you have your report versions and all good, you're happy with that, you can auto deploy them automatically to Jasper Report Server using Jenkins, so you can build up this pipeline. So stay tuned for the next session. And just before giving the floor to Prasant, please guys put your questions on the comment section in the right of the YouTube stream. We will be monitoring it and we'll try to get all of your questions before the end of this session. Thank you all for joining, and without further ado, go ahead, Prasant. Thank you.
Thanks, Bala. That was really impressive. Hi, everyone. So, as Bala mentioned, myself, Prashant. We are going to deep dive into the integration between Jaspersoft and Git. So that is our very first session on CI/CD, and the second part would be integrating Git, Jaspersoft, and Jenkins. So that once you checking something, the Jenkins job will pull up the changes. It will directly publish everything to the report. I mean, the report server wherever it is. So that is a plan. So without ado, we will start right away. So I'll just minimize my screen video to side. Okay. So I am pretty sure that each and every one of you know GitHub, and I know you guys already have experience with GitHub, but just to be sure, I'm just briefly going to discuss on what GitHub is and why it is used, what are the use case scenarios. So as mentioned in this slide, GitHub is a code hosting platform for version control and collaboration. What does that really mean? So it means, like, say for example, I'll take a use case scenario itself. Say for example, you are working on a particular, you are working on a 2-week sprint, and your manager assigned you a task to enhance one report. As you're working, so you are in the halfway of that report creation. So it is an enhancement. So the report is already there. So you are halfway on it, but then you got a defect from production, and someone asks you to fix that as well. So only way is to do this kind of scenarios are to set up a different environment. Maybe you have to revert the changes which you have done for the feature. So which is pretty difficult, right? With GitHub, you can just create a different branch and you can check out it, you can work on top of that branch. So you can keep that branch open for as long as you need, and you can merge it back to the main when your sprint is going to complete. So you have two branches. One is your production, which you can fix your issues in production. The second one is the feature branch, which is migrated or which is created from the main branch, where you can work on your feature. I will show you how to set up each, and how to set this up in our studio. The second use case can be like, say if myself and Badr, we both are working on the same report and we are working in silos. Consider that we are working on silos, and say what happens is like Badar may have changed something on the report. He would have checked in a change, but I never know that a change was made on that report. So I could actually update that actual report with an older version of report, so which ultimately removes Badar's code. So those kind of things can also be eliminated with the help of GitHub. So I just wanted to share you a few note on this slide as well. So this is a cheat sheet which I got from GitLab. So if most of the commands which you see here can be directly used through Studio. So I would suggest you can just go through it and see. If you have any doubts, you can just go through it. But most of this can be directly used, done through Studio. So if you scroll down to the very bottom of this, you can see this image. This is what I wanted to discuss. So if you see here, this is the working directory of our Jaspersoft. So I'm just considering this working directory as the Jaspersoft Studio working directory. So once you have created a particular report, or maybe you have completed some part of the task, what you can do is that you will just add the changes to a staging area, and then you will commit that to a repository. So you can see a dotted line here, which is like a log. So on the bottom side, it mentions local repositories, and on the up, it is defining remote repositories. What does it mean? Local repositories mean that these repositories lies on your server, on your PC, I would say. So it is not there on the web or on the cloud. These things lies on your server, on your desktop or laptop. So
so just one question here, Prasant. So everything that is in the local repositories, it means it's in your Jaspersoft Studio.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So even we can, the advantage of this is like you can even if you are not pushing the changes to remote, you can still create branches from the repository. So it has kind of a version controlling as well. Even with the local repository structure.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks.
Good. And now once you have a minimum viable product, or once you complete your particular report creation and you are 100% sure that the report works fine, then you will push the changes to the remote, where each and every one of your team members can actually pull it to their local repos. So that is the beauty of it. Like you can make the changes in real time and push it to the remote, and this will be available to everyone once they do a pull. So I think this should be sufficient for on a high level idea. So I'll go back to my slide. Go back to the slideshow. So how do we set up Jasper and Git? So I'm just giving a brief idea of what all things needs to be done on that. Like you have to go to Jasper Studio, click on window, open perspective, select Git. All these things I'll show you in real time. So I think it's better to go to Studio, and then we will do a demo first, and then I'll come back to these slides and see if you have any doubts. So this is my Jasper Studio Professional. I am working on the latest, not the latest one, like Jasper Studio 8.2 is already in place. So I'm working on 8.1.0, but it doesn't matter. I think the support for Git was there is there even in the older versions as well. So where should we find this Git? You can go to window, click on perspective, other. This should actually bring up a pop-up, and you can see Git here. And if you are lazy like me, you can directly go to this button. You will get it right from this open perspective button. So if I click it, you have three options, like existing. You can add an existing local Git repo, clone a Git repo, or create a local Git repo. So it's pretty. I think it's just like if you have some uh, yeah, I think it's better to put it in a scenario. Say, for example, if you are a new user who has just joined an organization, the organization probably has their own Git repo, and all the reports probably would be in that repo itself. So your team manager or your IT team probably will give you an access to that. They probably will give you a URL as well. So in that case, you can clone the Git repo. For example, in my case, I have a Git repo here, which has a lot of different projects. So I can directly clone this repo to here. The good thing about that is like it will directly create a project. I mean, it will have everything uh, which is there in the remote repo to be. I mean, you will it will download everything from the remote repo. So
that's very clear. Thank you, Prasant. But just one question there. So you showed the GitHub repository, and I believe since we're using Git, this is something that you can the same way using Git in Studio. You can hook up with GitHub, with GitLab, with any versioning server based on Git.
exactly, Bada. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So only thing is like it's like if you have a repo already available and you can clone it. If you are the first person who is going to create the repo, then you can create a new local Git repository here, and then you can push it to the remote repo so that it will create one for you. I mean, it will hook up with the remote repo.
Looks good. Thank you.
Cool. So I think we can go with the first step, which is a clone Git repo. So before that, I just wanted to show you one more thing. So you can, if you don't have a Git repository, you can go to github.com, create a username and password. So you will have access to a repo. And the second thing is like if you need to connect to a repo from Jaspersoft, it doesn't allow you to. I mean, not even Jaspersoft, but even if you are trying with other applications like Jenkins or anything, GitHub doesn't allow you to directly use the password. So for that, you will have to set up a token. So for that, you can directly go to your settings folder. I mean, settings here. Scroll down to the very bottom. You will be able to see a developer settings. Click on it, and you can see the fine-grained tokens. So you can create a new token and specify the resource owner, what is the expiration, then repositories, and it will generate a token. So it will be a one-time token just like this. I have already created it, but if you are doing it, and make sure that you provide the account permissions as well. For now, I just gave all the permissions, but for you, you can check and see which all are really required and create accordingly. Okay, so we will go back to our repo. I wanted to clone this particular repo. So click on code, click on this button, which will copy. Now come to your studio, clone a Git repo. So this is where you start. Or maybe you can even go to this page itself where you can, I mean, that is one way of doing it. Else you can come here where you can import the projects, go to Git, project from Git. Here also you have two options. One is clone URI and existing local repository. Here we are going to clone, so we'll select clone. And yeah, so I'm using the same URL, this one, Dr. Jaspersoft Test 2. And I'm using the password which was generated earlier, this one.
Yeah, so just to iterate on this, so guys, this is just specific to GitHub. The studio, the Git plugin inside Jaspersoft Studio support this as well. And as you can see, you can connect with your GitHub using the token instead of password, because this is a specific something specific for GitHub. It might be different for GitLab. It might be different for other other servers, but Git plugin mostly supports any other types of authentication to your repository server.
Thanks, Bala. So I'm clicking on next here. So what this does is like it will actually check all the different branches which is available in remote, and I'm telling the system, let's download everything. So I'm going to my workspace. So this is where my workspace exists, Dr. Jasper workspace 1. So now I am going to specify that as my, maybe I think there is a metadata. Let's delete that as well. Just go inside this workspace 1. That is okay, good. Now click on next and click on finish. Okay, so I think we can see all the different projects, reports. Let's wait till this open. Okay, so it just opened. So I can go to Git. So Git will also have all the branches. I can see the branch here. So it hardly took me 5 minutes to set this environment up. So yeah, it's pretty fast. So yeah, I mean, I was using a medical data field sample report. So I just set it that way. Okay, so since we are here, I will show you how to set it up, set the Git using local URI as well, but maybe towards the end. Since we have already set up the clone part, we will just go through and see what are the different features which is available on Git. So for that, I will take one of the reports, maybe, yeah, anything is fine, profit and loss report. So what it does is I can click on Git. So if I change something here, so maybe say if I'm changing these facility details updated to facility details, on maybe daily. Okay, so I save this, and as I save this, you can see this, right? So it's a beauty of Git. Whenever you make any changes, you don't have to note it down. Back in the days when I was working with others, I mean other version control tools, I have to note it down every time when I make a change. I have to actually note it down. So in Studio, we will see it right away. We can add this to the staging. We can directly commit, or so I'm just making a change. So I can put a commit like change the header. So I have two options. One is commit and second one is commit and push. So as you remember, commit will just push it into the local repository. But if you put commit and push, it will directly push to the remote as well. So I will do a commit and push here. So you can see that it has been pushed to the remote. So we can just verify that I'm working on the profit and loss report. So for it, I'll just go here and quickly check my Jasper Pro reload, not reloading, I mean just going back and forth, and I was working on this one. Yeah, you can see that last commit message now, right? So it was pushed to the remote. So now let's take a scenario where I mentioned initially, like I'm a developer who is working on a report feature. So I changed this daily to feature, and I was, or maybe I sorry, maybe I'm working on this report. Now I have a requirement to change. I have a requirement to work on a feature. Okay, so for that, what you can do is like you can come here to the local branch, right click, and you can create a branch. So for now, I'm putting it as a feature, F-E-A-T-U-R-E, feature 1, and I'm pushing this, just merging it as well. Okay, now I have a feature branch and a main branch. So the tick means I'm on feature branch, and you can also see the same here as well. So if you have any confusions, either go to Git staging and see here, and that way you will be 100% sure that you are working on the right branch as well. So for this, I'll go back to this Design Studio, click on this. I will just change the background color to a more vibrant one. Why not pink? And let's change the daily to feature. So now I'm saving this and going to Git. I can see that there is a change, and I'm just adding this change to, either you can right click and add to index, or you can click here as well, which will change it to the stage changes, and I'm committing this to remote as well. So I'm just putting modified color. I'm committing and push. So
just one thing, Prasant, will we be able to also see the history of our commits?
Exactly, sure. Yeah, Bada. That is also available. Maybe I'll go back to so if I'm on feature, if you click on history, I should see all the things which happened on this particular feature branch. And say I was not sure, say for example, I don't know what was the latest change which happened. So we can directly right click on this, go to open commit viewer, double click on this report. You should see the changes. So initially it was feature, initially it was daily, now it's feature. So, and I think also the color, the background color is also changed. So this way, it's really easy. You can merge, you can compare the reports, or yeah, only thing is like you have to select that particular branch to see the corresponding history. Okay, so now we are on the feature branch, and you can see that this is the red one. Now I'm just checking out the main. Wow, look at that. So it's changed to green, right? So that is exactly what I was trying to tell, because I mean we had always a problem where if you are working on a report and if someone has to make some changes, then it was really difficult. You have to do a lot of things, or you have to set up a different environment and do it. But here you can directly right click, check out the branch. Yeah, you have a different report altogether, I would say, and without even setting up your environments, I mean your workspace or anything. It's the same environment. So we can also merge the changes. So if I go back to my Jaspersoft test, yeah, I have just pushed the changes, right? So there is a feature branch which is merged from my main branch, and I push the changes to the feature as well on the remote. So now I have an option to, yeah, this is normal, like you can raise a pull request and merge the changes. So this will automatically merge. So now if I come back to this screen, so ideally what this means is like you have merged your feature with your main, but you are not, but I mean, as of now, if I'm I'm checking out this, you won't see that changes. The reason being, I have to right click here and do a pull request. Okay, now you can see this, right? So also in the history, you can see. So we changed the header here. We created a branch. Now we merge that again to the branch. So you will see all the history here.
That looks good, Prasant. So, and this is exactly, guys, how you work. If you are developers watching us, it's exactly how you work with your source code, the developing code. Then your report developers will go ahead and write there your Jrxml reports, and maybe you're designated someone like a technical lead or tech lead or someone manager or someone who actually approve or not the changes to your production reports. So by using Studio and GitHub, for example, you can have the merge requests as shown by Prasant. So when you can make your own changes in a branch, push them, create a merge request to include them in the master branch or the main branch, whatever you're going to call it. And then your tech lead or your manager will approve or not those changes to go to your Jasper report server. And in our next session, we're actually going to go after the merge request. Once it is approved, you can make the link between Studio and your Jasper report server via Jenkins, and then configure Jenkins and auto deploy the master branch or the main branch reports directly to your UIT or pre-prod to test it and then push it to prod.
Cool.
Thanks, Prasant. That's very comprehensible.
Yeah. But if we have time, maybe I can quickly show them on how to set up a Git local repo as well. So.
Okay. Yes, please. Let's show us how to create a new Git repo from Studio from scratch.
Sure, brother. So for that, I think it's better to create a new workspace. So I'll just switch the workspace and I'll go back one step here. So I have a workspace new Git repo. I'll use that. Click on OK. So this will bring me my Jasper Professional 8.1. Okay, so we can see the new workspace. It's again the same 8.1 itself. So I'm just going to close my reports and I'm going to create a new one. So I can just go and create a new report here, Jasper reports project, and I am going to name it as Dr. Jasper session. Or Dr. Jasper is fine. Okay. So this has created my project. So now I will quickly go and create a sample Jasper report. Maybe just name it as Dr. Jasper itself or Dr. Jaspersoft. Just keep this as uppercase. Finish. So now what happens is like you don't have a Git repo in your local or in GitHub. So you are the first person who is going to create this setup in your company, for example. So so in your real life scenarios, you can have n number of different reports here. So go to that. I mean, you can just check your current path. So I know that I am on C drive, workspace, new Dr. Jasper folder. So I will go inside this, select this folder. I'm just keeping this here so that I have this handy. So what we are going to do is like we are actually going to initialize Git in this location through Studio. Okay, so for that, go to Git once again. you can click on create a new local Git repository. Now browse to this location. So this is where I want my local repo to be, because then it can view all the different reports. And I'm going to master. So let's see. This is the working tree. I can see my report here. So this is a report which I created here. So all good till now. So I can just create a sample static page as well. Just to this Dr. Jasper. And okay. So now you can actually commit these changes, but what if I'm trying to click on commit and push? You don't have any remote branches for this, right? You only created a local one, so you don't have any remote branches at all. So for this, say I'll directly go and click on commit and push. So oh sorry, I have to put a command commit message. So I'll put first commit. I'll click on this button. So as expected, it throws an error. The reason being, there is no repository. There is no remote repository at all. Okay, so now we will go and create a new repository. As you can see, I have only one repo here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new repo for this particular project. I'm naming it as Dr. Jasper, and I'm keeping it as a private repo. Create repository. So now I have this URL available with me. So what should I do? I should go to here. Now I can push it once again. So I'm pushing the master branch, and here I'm going to give my Dr. Jasper. You can see the Dr. Jasper.git, right? It's the same value, Dr. Jasper.git. I'm now going to preview it, and I'm going to push it. So if I come back here and reload the screen, yeah, we can see our reports here. So this is the way how, if you are very new to Git and you don't have a setup in your organization, this is how you can create a report from your local Jaspersoft repository or workspace and push it to remote. So I think
I will be able to see now the branches on the remote.
Yeah, Badar, sorry, so obviously that is a nice question. So we have our local branch, and we just created our remote branch. So in order for our remote branch to be available on the report on here, we just need to right click here and do a pull. So this should actually bring in everything here, so you can see your origin master as well. So I think I have pretty much covered everything from a Git perspective. Do you have any questions, Bada?
No, it's everything good. Thank you. So maybe you still don't have anything in the slides you want to go through?
Yeah, I'll just quickly go through the slides, and I think I have just mentioned all the things which I have done here in the Git. So mostly this is one thing which you need to think about, the personal access token. And the second set is how to create the personal access token. Then I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prasant, for this very rich presentation. that was really good. And we're looking forward. I'm also really looking forward for the Jenkins part next month. So guys, just as you can see here, this is our common resources pages where we can see all the links to customer success, to Jaspersoft quick start guide, Dr. Jaspersoft community, YouTube contents, our Q&A as well, the Git sheet in of the GitLab with all the Git commands presented by Prasant is also there. So yeah, if you can please just go to the next slide. So thank you for joining us, and please guys, if you have any more questions related to this session, just shoot us an email to dr.jaspersoft@connect@jaspersoft.com. Please put in the subject the name of today's session, and we will be viewing it and answer you as soon as possible. And please also don't forget that you have the community there. You can go ahead and ask all of your questions in our Jaspersoft community. Thank you again, Prasant. Any
Thanks,
last
Thanks, all.
or any other words you want to say before?
No, not at the moment, brother. So I think we will be back with the Jenkins, right? Next time.
Yes, indeed.
So be tuned for that, I would say.
Thank you, and thank you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.